Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and for those of you that are OGs out there that have been around for a while, you know who Mr. B XRP is. He's a friend of mine, and he used to have a YouTube channel. First he started with having a pretty big presence on X, and I got to know him personally through that, and now he's come back to he's making YouTube videos again. And he posted his first video, so you need to go follow him on X at XRP Mister. You can't miss his logo there. And then here's his channel. You can follow him on YouTube, Mr. B XRP. And let's watch a little bit of it. I haven't even heard this yet.
Welcome back. It has been nearly 5 years since I created daily and weekly crypto and blockchain content, but I am so happy and glad to be back and excited. And boy, have we come a long way. To everyone who's been here, you know, we often call it the class of 2017 because so many people came in at 2017. But for all those that have been here for years and years and have hung in there, congratulations. I think my last video, XRP might have been 30 cents. And here we are sitting today, it's at $2.40. So congrats for those who hung in there. We weren't crazy. All of our friends, family members, and neighbors and colleagues all thought we were nutcases when we were talking about digital assets. And we had to try and bring them up to speed if we could and convince them that we weren't crazy and stay sane in the process because we went through a lot, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you came to see my first new video back, and I look to provide some really great content moving forward, some good news stuff, and definitely some really good educational stuff, and I'll share with you some of the things.
All right, so there you go. He's back. Go give him a follow. Now, this has got me curious. We've been showing the Homeland Security Bitcoin video for years, and there has never been any Bitcoin person that would touch it. But they're all retweeting this Tucker Carlson clip.
Nobody can explain to me who Satoshi was, the creator of Bitcoin, this mysterious guy who apparently died, but nobody knows who he was. You know, I grew up in D.C. primarily in a government family, so CIA. That's my guess. Can't prove it, but like, you're telling me to invest in something whose founder is like mysterious and has billions of dollars of unused Bitcoin. Like, what is that? And no one can answer the question, including some of the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the world. Do I know personally? They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It matters to me, right?
Matters to me too. Matters. It's going to matter to a lot of people. Now, this is that company called Proppy. Her name is Natalie. I don't remember her last name. But listen to what she says here. She's been working at it for a long time.
My dream since the inception of Proppy as a former real estate developer is that the new generation will be able to get into home ownership easily when they switch from one job to another, from one city to another. So in 5 years, I can see that any Bitcoin holder can borrow against their Bitcoin savings and get an instant loan, and then they get into home ownership with a couple of clicks anywhere in the world with ease, secure, no wire fraud, no title fraud, and property ownership to be on chain, not only in America, but globally, unlocking this unrecorded opportunity all over the world. And it's a foundation for capitalism and democracy. I think property ownership on blockchain can truly solve a lot of issues for housing affordability in America and for financing opportunities in the rest of the world.
Okay, well, I asked her, what about XRP? You know it's coming. Won't that be a fun world when we can get a house using our XRP? I'm looking forward to it. It's coming. Eleanor Terra at New Republic Industry Roundtable just wrapped. Per a source inside the room, the convo was very chill with lots of talk about wanting to come back to the table and work with Gillibrand and other Dems, the room was said to be in general agreement that the legislation should be strong on AML, BSA, and illicit finance, with the biggest concern being how to define DeFi, by extension, how to regulate it. Two suggestions came up: focus regulation intermediaries, not protocols. Lock Republicans, Democrats, industry leaders in a room for 3 hours to go through the bill line by line and surface concerns. More to come. So this thing is moving along. Then, just when you think that the XRP army, they keep trying to call it the XRP family, but every time they say that, sure enough, the hit pieces come. Now, I am so used to all this stuff that the second I see this stuff, I immediately think, okay, who's behind it? That's where I go. The exact same thought pattern when I saw the Ripple lawsuit drop, and none of that made any sense. And it didn't make any sense to me that everything on Coinbase was Bitcoin and Ethereum based. A lot of things had not made sense for years. It didn't make any sense to me that all they would talk about is Bitcoin and Ethereum when they were slow and expensive and all this. But they wouldn't mention XRP. And that's how I went down the rabbit hole that eventually became ETHgate. Well, I kind of have the same thought pattern when I see something like this. This is a guy who, I'll get to his name here in a minute, but he did the article on AOL. That's my first. This is a fortune writer, but he's also a writer for Decrypt. Now, when you hear Decrypt is all entangled with Consensus, and I'll show you in a minute. That's Joseph Lubin's company. I think they're still investors. But here, this was one of the pieces from the article that Ripple is a goofy business. For more than a decade now, the company has held vast quantities of magic beans known as XRP, which it dumps onto the market at regular intervals. It's not clear why anyone needs these magic beans, but people buy them anyway. And that has made Ripple very rich, so rich that this week it casually spent $1 billion to buy a treasury management company called G Treasury. The question is how much longer Ripple can keep its magic bean factory humming. So I immediately said, okay, let me go back. I got to look and see who this guy is. And this is the guy. His name's Jeff John Roberts. Okay, on his thing it says, well, it doesn't say there. He's got like some kind of locked account where you can't really look at it, or you can't look at everything. For an XRP army, the XRP crowd sure is thin-skinned. And this is somebody sent him an email. I just read your XRP article and just wanted to let you know it was the biggest pile of steaming crap I've ever read. If you don't have a clue, do some research before you write an entire article. I think he has every single clue. He knows all about it. So I immediately went and started looking. And I said, I've seen this movie 1,000 times, so now everyone's read his hit piece on Ripple. And I went back and I found an interview with Brad Garlinghouse, and then I found one where he interviewed Joseph Lubin. In the Brad Garlinghouse interview, every single question is trying to challenge Brad Garlinghouse about XRP. I'll show you. And then when you watch the Joseph Lubin interview, it's like he's throwing him softballs. There's nothing. And I went to the interview to find out if he challenged Joseph Lubin on the Ethereum ICO and the disguised whales, which you know all about. No, of course he didn't. He doesn't want to know about that because he probably already knows. Here's how he handled Brad Garlinghouse.
I'm excited about the future.
Okay, so wait and see. Let's turn to XRP. You make the distinction between Ripple and XRP, but the reality is Ripple owns a big mass of it. They own, I think, more than 50.
Like Brad Garlinghouse asked Joseph Lubin, how much Ethereum do you own? How much do you sell? And Joseph Lubin said they practice internal transparency, but this guy doesn't want to know about that. He just wants to know about what Ripple's been completely transparent about.
50% of it, and they're releasing some in escrow every month.
Let me tell you why they're so scared, folks. What did we have a week and a half ago? An announcement that Joseph Lubin and Ethereum were going to help Swift with some kind of prototype. And now they're sitting here watching Ripple buying G Treasury. And what they don't understand, they think they can write an article like this. What they don't understand is that the XRP army sees this stuff and they're like, no, you've got massive plans. You're accumulating. You're selling some of the XRP and making these huge acquisitions. It's fine with me because you're building an infrastructure where you can deploy this asset, and that's what they don't. That's what they're so afraid of. So look how he challenges Brad Garlinghouse.
What's going on with that? Are you the sales? Are you changing your strategy there at all, or?
He's got a big problem with Ripple's sales, but then now let's look at. But every question in that interview was like that. Now here's how he handles Joseph Lubin about the Ethereum early days.
Yeah, fair enough. We're talking about the future a lot here, but I actually want to step back into the past because a book by Laura Shin's going to drop soon that's full of gossip about the early days of Ethereum. You know, some people come out not looking pretty good. You come out okay, Joe. Gavin Wood, Charles Hoskinson, not so good. They're not going to like this book at all.
Joe come out okay?
I'm just bringing this up insofar as it's so interesting thinking of like you 8 or 12 people in this small space in Switzerland. Take us back to that time, and what are some of your most vivid or favorite memories from then?
Yeah, tell us about your favorite memory of issuing the ICO and disguising the whales, Joe. That's what I want to know. Tell us your memory. Tell us some of the names. Who were the disguised whales? The journalist here doesn't want to know that. You see how this thing unfolds. Well, before we go into the group, this is what I want to show you. I said I'll just leave this here. So on October 14th, Joe Lubin confirmed Swift is using Linea to build its new payment system, which is a prototype. So then here on October 22nd, right after the G Treasury announcement where it dawns on these people, oh crap, they're not trying to partner with Swift, they're trying to take its business. Ripple's branching out into the mainstream finance, even as the purpose of its most valuable asset, XRP, remains unclear. Well, guess what? Jeff John Roberts doesn't just work at Fortune. He's also a writer, or was a writer for Decrypt. So let's look at something about Decrypt. Joseph Lubin's a co-founder of Consensus, Brooklyn-based Ethereum software firm. Decrypt was founded in 2018 inside the incubator program of Consensus Mesh, an incubator accelerator affiliated with Consensus. Decrypt has publicly stated that Consensus via Mesh provided the financial support we needed to grow during its initial years. May 2022, Decrypt raised $10 million Series A post-money valuation from 22 plus investors, including VC's Dow Strategic Investors, and Decrypt spun out of Consensus Mesh, formerly separated at that time. After the spin-out, Consensus or Mesh remains a minority investor in Decrypt. See how this works, folks? They don't realize the XRP army knows where all the bodies are buried, and it's not hard to find because we have long memories when it comes to this stuff. Okay, we're going to go in the group, DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these videos. If you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.